chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerned. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday, Cayman, and everywhere else. It is so good to be here with you. I'm trying to do all of these things, but yes, welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, conversation for the world, and the podcast where your voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. Tonight, I am not here again to entertain you. No. We are doing like what you call like a medley. It's a medley. It's an open mic Friday. It's not about entertaining, No. I am here to engage, to thought provoke, and, to stir hearts a little bit, to hoping you would have questions, and your feedback is always welcome. And, those questions that many avoid. And hopefully I have been able to offer truths that you so rightly deserve. Because when you look at what's happening around the Caribbean is shifting, and you're seeing, again, constant, and I'll go into this, military presence is rising, digital systems are expanding. We saw that yesterday in yesterday's episode, and the national budget is buckling. Then our politics. Well, they're performing. How are they? But beneath all of the headlines and the hashtags, real people are hurting. It doesn't take away from the realities of what we're facing. Seniors can't access online services. We're seeing difficulties, families who can't afford even healthcare. And then you look at what's happening with the most recent headlines. Voters who feel betrayed might even feel uneasy. And then citizens wonder if their voices still matter. You're in tune to an episode of Sabrina Speaks on this Wind Down Friday. I'll be right back after this message.
The Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage is pleased to announce that the nominations for the 2026 National Recognition Awards are now open. Nominate individuals and groups who played a key role in developing the Cayman Islands' physical infrastructure. The categories include landmark leaders, infrastructure innovators, and the builders of Cayman. Visit gov.ky/YSCH. Click on the nominate button to make a nomination. Here is a step-by-step guide to fill out the form. Before starting, please read the instructions, the award categories, and the eligibility criteria. Step 1. Enter your personal information and select the award category for the person or group you are nominating. Click Yes to confirm that your nominee meets the criteria. Step 2. Enter the nominee's full name, date of birth, and district. Indicate their current status, whether living or deceased, and ensure you have the current contact information for your nominee and their next of kin. Fill out the submission detail and provide any supporting documents and a reference to support your nomination. Step 3. Review your submission and make any changes by clicking the previous button. When you are ready, confirm and agree to the terms, and click Submit Form to make your nomination. A thank you notice will confirm that the nomination was received, and a copy of the application will be sent to your email. Your nomination will be reviewed and considered by the National Recognition Awards Committee, and only successful nominees will be contacted and recognized at next year's National Heroes Day ceremony. The deadline to make a nomination is October 15. Remember, you can submit multiple nominations or browse our frequently asked questions by visiting the National Recognition Awards tab at gov.ky/YSCH. We look forward to receiving your nomination.
Well, there you have it. Welcome back to Sabrina Speaks. It is a pleasure to have you here with me this afternoon as I try to do all of these things behind the scenes and getting more comfortable in this digital world. Yeah, it's real. It is real. But you know what? This happens tomorrow. International Lighting Clearance and Yard Sale. Cayman, are you ready for a deal that lights up your weekend? Yes, International is doing it up again, and they're turning up the wattage with a massive clearance and yard sale. That's happening tomorrow morning from 7 until 11. Now, you notice how Edward did it? So you know he's going to have huge savings going on there at International Lighting. That's from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. tomorrow. Now, we're talking deep discounts, crazy clearance prices, and too many items to mention. But I can tell you this much, he's going to have lighting fixtures. He's going to have some serious bathroom decor, lots of rugs and area rugs, and also chandeliers. And I've been waiting to upgrade a little space here. As you see, I constantly change the backdrop. And if any one of you is preparing for the holidays, as we so traditionally do here in Cayman, this is your moment. And here's the kicker. You spend $50 or more, and you'll be entered into a drawing to win a trip to any Cayman Airways destination. Yes, you heard that right. Huge deals, and you could fly off to New York. You could go to Jamaica. You can go to Miami, Honduras, maybe even Atlanta. Yes. Go down there to International Lighting tomorrow for this huge yard sale and clearance sale. That's down there on North Sound Road at Ed's Plaza, 194 North Sound Road. Give them a call if you want more details. That's 345-916-8211 or 345-949-5141 for details. But trust me, you'll want to be there early. The doors will open at 7 a.m. sharp. So it's not just a sale. He continues celebrating. He doesn't need Black Friday to do giveaways. That's not Eddie that I know. So come for the deals. You can even hang around with him for the vibes. You know Edward. And maybe just walk away with a vacation in your pocket. That's how they do it down there at International Lighting. It's always fun to go down there and just be with Edward. Well, the content you're about to hear here, and for those of you who caught the joke, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general information and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for your specific concerns. Sabrina Speaks disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented right here. And do not forget, please, to like, share, and subscribe so you're not missing any episodes. I can be followed on Facebook. You look for me, Sabrina Turner, and there I am, community activist. Also on Instagram, you look for @Sabrina Speaks, the number 12, and also on YouTube. Yeah, looks for the Sabrina Speaks show. We're right there. You can follow us. And again, you don't miss an episode. Also, right here, where I know a lot of you stream us, cmrtv.com and all CMR platform pages as well. Yes. So it is always a pleasure to have you. And guess what? Today is World Mental Health Day. Yes, it is. And while the world pauses to reflect here in the Cayman Islands, we're not doing any different. But you know what? We must do more than just observe. we must also continue in our engagement because, as we know, mental health affects every family, every workplace, and even every district. It's not just about a diagnosis. It's about dignity, and it's about the quiet battles fought behind closed doors, the smiles that mask pain, and the courage it takes to simply say, I'm not okay. Now, we know in recent years, Cayman has made strides. Congratulations. We've seen new legislation, we've expanded services, and community events like the Mental Health Symposium at Cayman Bay. Organizations like the Alex Panton Foundation have led the charge with even youth mental health, and especially during crisis like what we've been through and hope we'll never repeat another pandemic. And slowly but surely, the stigma is lifting. It's becoming more acceptable to talk, to share, and even to seek help. But let's be honest, we're not there yet. Because, in a small community like ours, many still suffer in silence. They fear judgment, they fear being labeled, they fear that their pain will be misunderstood, or worse, even outright dismissed. And then there are families. They're the families, the parents, the brothers and the sisters, the spouses, the children who carry the weight of care, who love someone battling, mental illness and still have to show up with a smile and survive in a society that doesn't always understand or even accepting. To them, I see you. To those suffering quietly, we hear you. And to all of us, we must keep going. So mental health is not a weakness. It's a part of our humanity. And if we want resilience, if we want a resilient Cayman, we must build a compassionate one. So before we go into today's show, let's, be a reminder that it's nothing hard in checking in on our people every now and again, even when they appear to be walking around with a great smile, always willing to give a cheerful nudge and words of encouragement, words of inspiration. You never know what they themselves are going through. But check on our people. Speak with kindness. And if you're struggling, please don't mask it. Don't hide it. Help is really here. And to be honest, you're not alone. Yeah. So it is World Mental Health Day. We get the recognition that it deserves, but it's continued. It's a continuous fight because people suffering with mental illness, today being the 10th of the 10th, it doesn't go away at 12:01. It stays there. Happy birthday to all of those persons who are celebrated birthdays this week and definitely celebrating the birthday today. And if you are like some friends that I have, they celebrate it for the entire month. Kudos to you. I congratulate you for just doing that, I see you all building there. But let's go into some quick headlines. I want to say, hey, congratulations to, is it Leslie Lang, Inspector of Police and Commander for the Sister Islands? Yes, that's my friend. We did a mass casualty training together and quite interesting. I kind of know him from not only in the professional side, but I've got to learn him amongst other persons that were on that mass casualty training that I did. And when I saw preparing for the show, I shared it on the Facebook page as well, that they are actually doing a meet and greet, a series of meetings in the Sister Islands. As I said, he is the commander for the Sister Islands, and his mandate over there is his outright mandate, and his role as a Royal Cayman Islands police officer is community policing and combating crime. And, his aim is to build trust for stronger collaboration with the community. And like I said, his team is over there and they will be hosting a number of community clinics, meet and greets at the Sister Island starting Monday, watering place. And you can see the whole list in his video that is actually on my Facebook page. And I'm quite sure you can go onto the Royal Cayman Islands Police and see exactly what's there as well. But kudos to you. I'm looking for great things. I could be honest with you, Leng. You know me and you know your girl ain't got no filter when it comes to you. I am looking for great things to come from you. And I got people on the ground there too. So yeah, I would be disappointed knowing how you take your work serious, my findings of you, that the people of Cayman Brac will see a difference in community policing, knowing that we were hearing so much complaints that has been almost put on the side burner and the cry, even for here in Grand Cayman. But the sister islands, that includes Cayman Brac, Little Cayman as well. We don't want anyone to feel left out. They may be separated by bodies of water, but they're different districts. Just we take a boat or a plane over there. But I'm looking great things. I'm looking for great things from you, Lang. And you know, if I see you, I gotta tell you. You know, if I see you, I go in a nice Sabrina way, drape you up. And I know you're laughing right about now. Somebody tells you I'm talking about you. But to all the persons in the frontline uniform service, thank you so much for your service. And to all of those persons going out there, embracing and embarking the weekend, please remember to be safe. Do not drink and drive. The life you save, I can remember this by heart, maybe your own. But we don't want any issues this weekend at all. We just hope as we enter the holiday season, the festive season, kind of do a little bit more. But Fridays especially, you know, we kind of exhale. It's been a heavy week. To be honest, you know yourself right here. We've had some hard-hitting topics. And today will be no different, even though Friday is normally a little lighter. I think might as well as just continue. I've been getting some feedbacks from you. We are seeing in the headlines that for those who may be flying out to the UK or maybe the Bahamas, that on CMR Facebook page, that British Airways flight that serviced Cayman Islands and Bahamas was reported to be struck by lightning, knocking one of its engines out mid-journey. Oh my gosh. The aircraft was diverted and is now stranded in Nassau. So you can stay tuned for all the latest updates if you're happening to be flying out to the UK or Nassau later this evening on BA. You want to actually check with the airline. Go if you're at the airport. You know, you want to keep up to date here. Maybe you have friends or family coming or leaving. You may want to stick around in the area a little bit more. And again, more headlines making the news. We see where a former Turtle Center employee gets probation in fraud case. Yes, that's Miss Rachel Ann. She's gotten probation in a fraud case, so you can read that story in more detail there. And along with, I try not to go into the US stuff, but yeah, it's there and I'm not going to be biased. We also see one of the headlines that Trump fires Black officials from overwhelmingly white administration. Trump and his administration have pushed out a number of Black officials from high-profile positions in an overwhelming white administration that has brandished all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the federal government. They're still in the lockdown, and I also saw other headlines where the aviation and persons who monitor the towers, like air traffic controllers, like they're telling people, if you outright call out sick and they know that it's not legit, that it could have serious consequences. I mean, these people are not getting paid. They have obligations and all that sort of stuff. But it's crazy what's happening there. Let's continue. Tragedy in Tennessee. 19 missing after huge blast in Tennessee and explosives plant, officials say. Again, this and much more stories are available right there on CMR. Let's keeping it real and keeping it home. I like to keep it local. And I really am going to just go into it with you this evening. But if you think I'm ignoring you, no, I am not. I am not ignoring you guys on this Friday. Hi, Connie. Good evening. It is such a pleasure to have you here. You were the first to comment this evening. Yes, happy Friday. Hi, Sonia. How are you? Good afternoon, Miss Joyce Ann. I have a heart. Don't ask me about no Milo today. It's a Friday. And yeah, on an Asima with nothing, there's a reason for that. Not necessarily with the show, but I was just so busy making sure I had good content here for you guys. I forgot to do me a drink. But don't worry, I'll make up for lost time once this camera goes off and I indulge the weekend. Hi, Barbara G. And I too am asking for it. Hi, Lavona, Atlanta. That's Delta. Oh, sorry. Thank you. That's why I love y'all. But wherever it is on a going, Edward can get you there. So thank you. Thank you for that correction. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, Connie E. Banks. Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday and have a fabulous weekend. Chelsea, good evening to you. Marshall, always a pleasure to see you. Miss Romelia. Help is really there. Good evening, all. Help is really there. Yes, for the mental health. It's true. For the amount of resources that we have, Romelia and the wider Cayman Islands, it's amazing what services we have here that is just totally free. And I'll go into some of those with I think some of the stigma that we said in regards to confidentiality and stigma because everyone knows everybody. But when you're hurting, it doesn't matter at that time. Professionals are there to really help you. So we got to do this together as a community. Yes, he's doing an amazing job in Cayman Brac. Oh, my boy Lang. Yep. See, Lang. So I'm not the only one that's expecting great things from you. And congratulations, continue to do it. And I hope that the people of the BRAC will see a difference. And, we got our eyes, because when you get endorsements like these of who we know you are, to me, that's motivation to let you know that we're expecting to see change. But let's see. I have high hopes. Put it like that. Hi, Miss Lucille. Good evening from the UK. Yes, I'm up tonight. Give God thanks. Blessings always. Stay safe. And you, my friend, all the best to you. Now, it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this weekend, on Sunday, the 12th, is the Brenda Tibbetts Lund 5K and 10K walk run that starts at 6 o'clock on West Bay Road, Public Beach. So yes, and you got all the events that are taking place here over the week. Today is the 10th. East End, they're having their clinic. They'll be at the East End Health Clinic, and I guess by now that's closed. So they were doing their outer districts PR reach and definitely helping people there. So, but it continues because that walk run is happening on Sunday. And then we got the Bodden Town Awareness Meeting that happens at Webster Memorial Church on Thursday. And on Friday, the 17th, that's next week, Friday, they will be at the Northside Health Center Clinic. And then there's going to be a health fair at East End United Church from 9 until 12. That's next week, Saturday. So I'm hoping to have some of the persons from the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens on our show one day out of next week. And like I promised you, I'll get one or two persons as well that we can just have a brief conversation in recognition of it. But here we go. Yes. Tonight again, all week, look like I have been, Connie should be happy. I saw Jim commented, Connie, on a post that I did for mental health. He's been very quiet. We miss him, Connie. I think I, too, am going to serve divorce papers on him. But, he was off for 5 weeks. I hope that all is going well. I hope he's having such a blast that he's just going to save every episode that he's missed. And he's going to just do like a binge. And when he comes back, then we'll have to do a quiz with him to give him like questions. What do you think, Connie? I know you're something else, but pretty much all week we have been here. I've been here solo and having no guests. And I've gotten some feedback in regards to how much you all are appreciating that. Not only that, but also appreciating the conversations that we've been having. No filters. Just me. And again, it's you this evening and the realities of some of the subjects that we have been actually taking on. And as we continue to navigate just life here in the Cayman Islands, I just want to say that in today's episode, I intend to keep on the forefront, not necessarily a review of this week's, but what I consider like a medley of topics that based on overdue or spillover commentary that I've been seeing. And you're welcome to join in on this, 9368255. Your participation really, really matters. We'll discuss the Caribbean tensions that continues to what appears escalating, their implications possibly on even our sovereignty. This is not to fearmonger. This is just real talks. It's happening. And we'll unpack the digital divide as well. Go back a little bit into that. Who's being left behind? If you're feeling that you've been left behind. Again, some of the comments that I have seen here on this live broadcast speaks that some of you are a bit concerned. You are worried that some persons may be left out. And there has been a task force that was launched. I'll go more into that on October 6th, where the Honorable Minister was speaking, but I'll go a little bit more into that throughout this show. So we'll break down even some and acts, is this budget Wednesday, Parliament is going, and this sitting administration will be presenting, it is planned, the budget now for 26 and 27. What are you looking out for? Do you feel, is this sustainable? Is it a sustainable budget? Is it something that has everyone included in it? You will hear the weigh-in from the opposition. You will hear a weigh-in now from the independents as the sitting and current government now makes this proposal, hoping to get bipartisan, the entire agreement and support of what they're tabling now. Going into that, it may be required some amendments, some adjustments, questions could be asked. I intend to maybe just do a show one day before Wednesday to prepare you so you know what to listen for, to break it down a little bit more in simple terms. And yes, we'll even kind of tackle into the political shakeups that have left us, many of us, asking, when is enough is enough? I don't intend to dwell anything on this because at the end of the day, we just have to watch. You got to understand democracy, and when members elected decides they're going to disassociate themselves from a political party, in this case, that individual is not a member of cabinet. They're not a minister. So, but still, people are scratching their heads. Is this a signal? Is this not a red flag, but a cautionary flag? So it looks as though I could need an amber flag and a red flag. So yeah, not to put joke to what it is, because I heard even this morning, based on listening to Sandra and some of the call-ins, that it infuriates you. People are angry, like, here we go again. Are we going to go through another 4 years of this crap again? So I can encourage you, grab your tea, grab your thoughts and your courage, because let's get started. Yep, let's start. Sabrina Speaks. And tonight we're going to be, again, continuing to deliver information that is profound. And okay, I just have to answer some question, a message there. Yes, so here we go. Now, I told you what's happening in the region. Miss Lucille, please don't go sleep on me tonight. But if you have to, I will forgive you. Yes, we saw earlier on this week. Let me remove this banner. No, not a banner. This thing, 936-8255, if you want to actually participate in the conversation. We are seeing where Caribbean tensions continue to rise. And what does it mean for Cayman? Now, the Caribbean is no longer, in my humble opinion, and as I said, today's episode of Sabrina Speaks is a medley of things. We're not just sticking to one thing. It's open mic with discretion. And of course, until you call in and bring up a topic, I need to have content. And I thought that this was quite shocking, because this is real and it's happening right in our doorstep. This is not, the Caribbean is no longer just a playground for cruise ships and coral reefs. People who make their living in certain areas of the Eastern Caribbean now are even threatened to go out to fish, to feed their families, for trade and that sort of stuff, with what's happening with recent military escalations from the United States, naval deployments near Venezuela to increase surveillance across the region, signals a shift in our tranquil, crystal, pristine, almost insular, where you just go to melt away from all of this crap on this side of the world. And a shift towards strategic posturing is not, in my humble opinion, peacekeeping. And when you see breaking news like this, it has some serious thought-provoking things that come to mind, in the sense where I'm talking, if the Caribbean becomes a staging ground, what then happens to neutrality? What happens to our product? How can that impact our tourism product? How can that impact our way of life, migration, all of that sort of stuff? Again, thought-provoking. And then as a British Overseas Territory jurisdiction, you hear me talk about this all the time. Do we have a voice in these decisions, or are we just observers? What does security mean when it's impossible imposed from outside when all of this is happening, you know? So in regards to that, the US asked Grenada for permission to deploy military assets. Diplomatic sources reveal a strategic maneuver just 100 miles from Venezuela. That should speak volumes for you. And if you doubted that, at first I doubted it. And then I gotta pick this up. I then found confirmation. Yes, I did. And it's a fact. Because then we had dated the 9th from the Foreign and Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirms requests by the US government to host military personnel and equipment in Grenada. That was dated and confirmed on October 9th. That's yesterday. And it says, St. George's, Grenada, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development confirms that a request for the temporary installation of radar equipment and associated technical personnel at the Maurice Bishop International Airport was received from the government of the United States of America. The Ministries of National Security, Legal Affairs, and Foreign Affairs are carefully assessing the request and reviewing the requests in technical consultants in coordination with Grenada Airports Authority and other relevant agencies. At this stage, the government of Grenada is carefully reviewing the requests in accordance with established national procedures. Any decisions will be made only after all technical and legal assessments are completed. We wish to assure our citizens that any decisions taken will be guided by Grenada's sovereignty, public safety, and national interest, including the protection of our tourism industry, the traveling public, and the country's economic well-being. The government will continue to keep the public informed as developments unfold. So there you have it. That actually solidifies, and what I just read is what I have on the screen there. That actually solidifies that was actually, that it's real. And, it is happening on our doorsteps. And what then are we doing in regards to where we stand in solutions, being proactive, that sort of stuff? This is where our relationships with regional jurisdictions and regional alliances, not just with the UK, but also with CARICOMs and OECDs, to ensure our interests are represented and that the safety of our people are not to undermine our foreign affairs or governor or national security. This is by no means undermining any of them. This is keeping conversation real. This is letting you know what's happening in your doorstep, so nothing should actually frighten you. And we possibly need to consider, instead of just airing it here, or you just scrolling across on your Facebook page and see these things, maybe we need to consider a national security dialogue that includes civil society, which we have a representative on there, not just government. So understanding, I've sat there in that role, and that's not something that you come out publicly and do. It's quite interesting how that is. But again, this is the importance of public education campaigns, and without them, it can demystify military presence and empower citizens to ask more informed questions. It keeps the line of communication open. And this is why you shouldn't just be hearing it on leaving rooms or gaps for persons to assume, because we see how fast bad information can actually spread. So yeah, that is quite interesting. Let's see what we are saying here. Chelsea, where was I? Miss Romelia, Miss Lucille. Yep, Connie, you agree? Mm-hmm. Hi, Darlene, how are you? Hi, Abby. Mm-hmm. Well, Orange Man, up there, just crashed the markets 10 to 20% in tweet today. Good time for entry. Oh, really? Yeah, I mean, I just, every second when you see me veer off here, sometimes it's some breaking news that's coming in, and it's like, oh, what now? So here we go. Good evening, Miss Deborah. How are you? So good to have you with us. Jasara, it's good to have you join us as well. But yeah, that's where we are in regards to what's happening right at our doorsteps. And I'm hoping that persons, not like I said, it's not to fearmonger. By no means. That is not my intentions. It's just to keep you in the know. We also heard yesterday in regards to the speaking more into the digital era, and ooh, that's thunder. May please, 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 for all of you who are driving and going out, be careful. It is forecasted that we could have scattered showers over the weekend, but that woke me up. The digital era and freedom of fragmentation. We spoke about that a little bit yesterday, and even though Danny came in on the very, like literally 5 minutes before the end of show, that was like 5 minutes to 7, Danny called in. And I understand parental responsibility and duties. I respect him, but he has a wealth of knowledge. And I promised that we would have actually gone into another part of that. But because this evening's show is a medley of topics, I felt that what I got out of the conversations yesterday was some concerns about we're told that the digital age is liberating. And then I saw where we had members of our government on Radio Cayman earlier talking about this task force, which again aligned quite nicely with the subject that we had yesterday and what that means in regards to who's protecting the data, what watch, well, not watchdogs, but who will be watching it, who will be held responsible. And in this, I'm sharing that there is a chair lady that has been chosen. But online banking, when you talk about e-government portals, you're talking about biometric immigration. These are progress makers, is what is being said in regards to going back to this digital era. And yet some of our seniors, persons with disabilities, and those without digital literacy, there could be some barriers. Now, we know people may say, well, she's just talking because she needs content. Let's get this thing rolled out first. We just got the task force established on the 6th. Now the conversation is now topical again. What else? How fast does she want us to go? It's not about pace. It's about engaging in exactly what we're doing, keeping people abreast and informed of everything that's going on in regards to digital ID and the national ID. Some people still feel that this subject has had this community divided. And the more we talk about it to get down to the bottom of the things, it's best to be presented where it's from, neutral, hear your side, hear their side, and everybody's side. But then what's happening around us? So when you look again at those questions that include, is digital transformation creating a new class divide, as you all highlighted yesterday? In regards to those persons, those seniors, those vulnerable people, you're seeing what's happening at the bank. I know seniors that I deal with every day who actually struggle with doing day-to-day transactions. And even though they may have debit cards and they have children or grandchildren who may be on some of their accounts, because mostly everything is digital, even going to the bank is a challenge for them. And they have to write letters or do a power of attorney and the permission then to pull monies out of their account. It's not like they have all online access to see if I tell you to go get $200 to go buy the groceries, or I give you a PIN from my debit card as a senior, that I would be alerted if instead of $200 you took out $500 or you depleted my account. These are all of the challenges that our seniors are actually facing, and some of them are actually exploited by their very own. But in the grander scheme of things, it's not like this digital age is not continuing whether or not you're ready for it. It is evolving. It's evolving very quickly. And then you may ask, well, what happens when access becomes a privilege and not a right? That's delving into a total different area again. And this is why, again, there's parts of the Constitution in order to protect you that you shouldn't be disenfranchised in any way. So another question or thought-provoking topic that came up or came back to mind after I reviewed all of the comments that were says, that was placed here, are we then designing systems for people or forcing them to fit the systems? Are you then, I know how frustrated I get just even here trying to deliver this podcast, and behind the scenes with Sandra and I have explained to you so much things happening that if I don't have somebody in the background doing a lot of stuff for me, you got to make sure you share a link for YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and God forbid if anything goes down, and then you cross sharing these links so that everybody, including all of you on CMR platform, it's not just my platform, that you're sharing all of this. This was not something Sabrina was used to doing. What I'm saying is, in order for me to reach the masses and for a smooth operation of this business, this platform, there ain't nobody taking pity on me. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I have, and it's frustrating. So I can understand for a senior who was like, oh, I just got into texting. I just got into WhatsApp. Now you're telling me because everything is going digital, this facial imaging, this fingerprinting and all that sort of stuff, and I didn't commit a crime. What? It's going to be, we're going to have to craft our conversation based on our audiences. And breaking that down to someone who has never really sat in the front of a computer to now tell them that even giving your children their little Christmas money now will require me putting you in a wheelchair, getting you to the car, for you to go to the bank to tell them it's okay for me to withdraw on your behalf, or every time that has to happen, you have to do that. Again, those modernization is not waiting on anyone. And that is why that thought-provoking question came about. Is it a new class of divide? Or are we now forced to just go with it no matter what the age is? Will persons operating businesses be entertaining to cover those late bloomers and those latecomers, those who refuse to actually go ahead with it? What will happen with those, because digital devices aren't only cracks forming. No, it's about all of where we're going in the next couple of years. So what's your take on it? If you have a senior parent, or if you're feeling that you're left out, or if even some of the topics that we shared here today this week was so overwhelming that, it have you wondering or thinking twice about where do you fit in? Because we don't want anybody being felt left alone at all. And it is a reality that it's coming. And as we continue to explore the topic, I will make sure that I inform and engage you of all of the happenings for sure. Mm-hmm. So let's try to delve in a little bit about the budget, whether, because as I said, on Wednesday, they're going down to Parliament, or government is going to Parliament to present their budget, and whether our Cayman's economic foundation is built to last with all of what we've been hearing. And the numbers that we're hearing throwing out there really are not lies. They're realistic as to what's happening. I've shared with you in an earlier podcast this week about what it's costing an average for a prisoner, what it's costing for healthcare. And we've heard on other platforms the challenges that persons are facing even accessing healthcare. But they don't comfort either when you hear those numbers, when you put it all, because with the projected at one point, it was we're going to break even, but we had heard at one point that there was a possible deficit of over 80 million and rising. We're seeing where the indigent enrollment continues to climb and our physical health is under pressure. That is it. We've seen where obviously Seneco now is stretched, and these are not anything that's new, not to sugarcoat anything. But as we continue to see infrastructure booming, but social services yet continue to buckle. We see persons who are strung out on substance abuse. We've heard the case with those who have found themselves in an awkward position with children who are now thankfully being placed temporarily, and the future of those kids. And those are stories that possibly are only a tip of the iceberg. So where are we going as a jurisdiction is something that we need to consider. And what we need to find out if what is being presented, are we budgeting for buildings or are we budgeting for people? Is there a balance? These are all the things that you should be listening for come Wednesday when they present this budget. And what does, in this context, sustainability mean when basic health care is almost out of reach? And continuing to fund that without the belts and braces, without accountability, and that sort of stuff yields another problem as well. So some of the issues that we're seeing is our economic module built on, what is it built on? Is it built on just surviving, resilience, or just revenue? These are all the questions that you may say, this is just over our head. I just want to be able to get my utility bills down. I just want to be able to live. I want to be able to travel when I want. I just want my money to go to distance or give me the same payback for the amount of work that I put in at work. Because right now, what I am working, my money isn't giving me the mileage is what I'm getting. What I see when I go to the grocery store, and everybody is saying the same thing. So I wish that there was a wand that you could just wave and all of these issues will go away. But it's just not that simple because it's a balancing act. Hello, Miss Melita. It's good to have you. A Wine Down Friday. What's the sipping topic today? I'm not even sipping anything, Melita. I was just trying to make sure I could come up with something that that was still provoked engagement, and just be able to deliver here. But it's good to always have you with us. Yes. So when we look at the entire Caymanian equity, equality, and we look at the track in real time and what impacts our budget's decision on vulnerable groups, that's staggering. And whether or not we should even be considering at this time, possibly looking at cynical reform, including preventative care. We see where the STEP survey has pretty much have that big and bold. It forecasts where we're headed. And cynical could possibly include preventative care incentives and community-based partnerships, public-private partnerships, and launch more pilots in the districts to do more public outreach. So these are some of the things that you look for in those things, whether or not it'll be funded, because sometimes you have to seed these things in order to give long-term results. And you don't necessarily see the positive outcomes immediately. You may not even see it in this term. You may see that in a next term. You may not see it in this 2-year budget, but you may see it midway through the second budget, which would be 28 into 29. So not everything is going to be like that from what we're seeing. Yeah. Now, Cayman is very expensive and in food and rent. Yeah, Chelsea. And you see what happens with some of those when it comes to rent. And I think it was mentioned either here or on one of Sandra's show that when you look at the cost of even people paying a mortgage and you're a renter, a lot of them rent out their properties in order to either subsidize or to pay their mortgage. So if interest rates go up and their mortgage payments go up, then rent goes up. Yeah, then rent goes up. So at the end of the day, it's a trickle-down effect. And then we're seeing where there's a demand and a shortage of supply of just places to rent that's affordable and not squalor. It not that Cayman don't have places, because we have a lot of places that are just bought and locked up that our locals don't have access to because they're not a part of a rental pool. And then remember the big boom as season now kicks in that goes until maybe April, May? the Airbnbs now have taken over, where one would do long-term rentals. They're not doing long-term rentals because they can make more money in a shorter space of time than actually having to deal with constant damages. It's a quicker turnover and all that. Look, I ain't beating up a person. They gotta live. But what I'm saying from a national perspective, how can we curtail? What do we have to do in order to try to lower the cost of food, which is why diversifying where we're getting our food items from is key. We had Mr. Woody Foster on here and explained the logistics of what it takes, as candid as he was in his delivery, to not spark fare, but it was more about sustaining continuous importation of food. Where do we stand? And that was before all we saw what was happening in the region as tensions escalate. I will see if he may want to come back to allay those fears, not necessarily to speak about what's happening in the region, but more a check-in with what's happening on the side of things. And we see where they're trying their best. And this is why even diversification now of our markets where we're getting food and what's happening regionally with the political tensions that we're seeing, that in itself could actually hamper where we get, or where we would possibly be looking at for alternate routes for food or persons to supply us with certain foods. So these are all things that you say, you think we're immune? No, we're not. Because if these are talks that we're having with our regional brothers and sisters of CARICOM, we see what's happening in the Eastern Caribbean. And now we're talking about trying to explore new markets regionally, and to try and lower the cost of food once it's safety. I know the Honorable Minister for Agriculture was saying it's not that we couldn't bring meat in from certain countries, other countries within the region, but it's making sure that they're safe, and that they are kept in places where it meets the standards, that we're not then importing any diseases or whatever the case may be. And I'm paraphrasing here. But these are all of the things that needs to be taken into consideration. But what's bigger is that even what's happening with sustainability on food and access to food is a part of national security. Because make it get a case here where containers go missing or we're blocked and all that sort of stuff, that's national security. That falls under national security. So you will hear me constantly talk about that because it's that important. But yeah, Chelsea, we have to just continue to be watchful, be aware, and this is no time to create any panic, but just to make you be alert. And this is why it's important that when I do have persons on here, that they're coming from an informed perspective than me just coming here, getting information from different source, but making sure it's sound. It's good to have feedback from persons in the industry. So there we go. Yeah. Okay, Miss Lucille, good night. Always good. Yes, and tomorrow. Melita, hi, TD. I'm up before the chickens, so I need to get back those lost hours, child. You to sleep. No problem, my love. Yes, those B&Bs still exist around you. I haven't heard about them in a minute. Oh, you're asking if they still Airbnb still exist. I haven't heard about them in a minute, but okay. Yeah, they still do. And I'm quite sure you'll probably seeing more, but you know, Melita, you're onto something because I really haven't heard much of a buzz, but maybe because it was not season. Remember now, the season for those in the United States and that sort of stuff is now. It's starting now as we lead into the Christmas holidays, and it goes straight through Easter. And then it slows down around June, July, August, like around there. So, I mean, more July. But yeah, maybe you haven't heard a lot of them because it's now slow season. Season is just now reopening. So that's probably why you haven't heard a lot about them. But that too has taken out of the pool of what properties could be rented to our everyday people. So it's quite interesting. But you know, it's true. I really haven't heard a lot about Airbnbs, but they're still there. They are still there. And from all accounts, all friends and family that I see that are into Airbnb, they prefer that than long-term rentals. They prefer that because they're saying less damage and it's a quicker turnover. It's not long-term. You just freshen up and another set of people come in, they give their reviews, you get your money, they're gone. And then it's the next set. And then if it's a break, let's say you're fortunate enough to have it at some place that you could have a staycation and not necessarily have to go to a resort. It's a win-win. But yeah, Easter is coming now. So you are, you know, it's tradition for us to go on the beach and we just camp out. If you want to lock in those rooms from now, you may want to start now because we will still be in season in April for tourists. So that sometimes you're competing with those as well. So there you have it. But it's interesting to see that market. And we're seeing more and more now people, and I applaud all of my young Caymanians who are getting, or Caymanians period, who are getting in the real estate market. And it's just not sales, you know. Real estate do commercials, they do leases, they do rentals. And yeah, it's interesting. That's a very interesting market. Now, you have seen the headlines. Like I said, it's a little political shakeup is what I'll call this segment. What is the value of your vote is what I labeled it as, because we're hearing so much in regards to this. And this is not coming, I'm going to be as objective as I can in regards to what it means without speculation. The letter says what it says, and that's what it is. But for those of you who may have missed it, Dwayne John Seymour resigned from the Progressives. That was in a letter dated the 6th of October that made the public's domain yesterday. Made the public's domain yesterday. And it's now the headline. And people are like, oh, not again. You know, people are like, what does it mean? Why him? Why now? You know, we don't know. If memory serves me well, he was never an official member of the Progressives. He was always an alliance. It was during the 2025, I stand to be corrected, that he then became a member of the Progressives. With this resignation now, for clarity, he's resigned as being a party member of the Progressives. Okay? So it isn't a headline. It's a symptom of political fluidity, personal ambition, and public discord, because you're like, is there something with the group? Why he doesn't like it? Is it too confined for him? Because then the freedom of speaking your mind, so to speak, is hindered because you speak in one voice when you are a part of a group like that. And when MPs switch, it's not a matter of switching sides in this case, because he was in the opposition. He remains, as of now, still in the opposition. He's just not a PPM member. So with all the rumors that are out there, this isn't even midterm. It's not even 6 months in. But it still has the people wondering, what happened now? Did my vote even matter? Because it has started. You're seeing people now where the sensitive check in our society said that they were more driven to, in conversations, some are saying we prefer the organization and the structure of parties. Some are still gung-ho, we prefer independence. Again, the pendulum is all over the place and we don't know what's going on. So I got a question here. Are we electing leaders or performers? Was one question that came into me. And another one was, hold on. What does loyalty mean in politics? To party, to people, or to self? So yeah, I can't answer these questions. You have to ask these questions to these individuals, and more beholding the people of Bodentown East. If he has gotten their blessing and he continues to return back to office, and obviously he's consulted with his people, but what the takeaway is here is that he's not a cabinet minister. He's not a cabinet minister. So his salary wouldn't be any more if he had stayed with the PPM brand, or he goes over in the whatever, southeast, southwest corner, southeast corner as an independent member of parliament. You have to look at the words. He's an independent member of parliament, but he's still the elected representative for Bodentown East. He's just not a PPM member anymore based on his resignation. So his salary remains the same. What it actually says over there now, possibly where some of you are just getting uneasy, he's probably saying, hey, I'm available. I'm available. Or I don't want nothing to do with y'all. I just tired of this. I will stay over here with my independence, consult my people of Bodentown East who have been loyal to me and always vote me back in. And I will fight for you and vote according to my good conscience and guided by the people of Bodentown East. Maybe that's why he's comfortable over there. Maybe he may have more of a speaking platform being there versus having to ask permission from the party leader. Can I go on Radio Cayman? Boy, I want to speak out on this because this road thing is taking too long, or this immigration reform is taking too long. I don't know. When you are in with a party, you don't have the right to speak freely versus where he has found himself now as an independent member of parliament. Okay? But that is not a red flag at this stage. I think it's a caution. Watch the space. It is a critical time that we're approaching. They're about to discuss and vote on the budget. He's no longer have to vote with the progressives. He's an independent vote in that parliament that doesn't have to vote along the party lines anymore. That resignation on any bill, anything that is being debated on the floor of parliament with what he has done, he no longer have to vote party lines. He can vote as an independent member of parliament. Okay? Melita, nah, that's not camping. Oh, you're talking about the accommodation. You need to do it like the real chap, like backing everything. No, not me. I too free. Not me. Sorry, Melita, that's not me. We be Baden. Good evening, Cayman Islands. Once you stay in the back and off the road after dark, I'm now looking at him. Okay. Yep. So I just wanted to let you know exactly what it means based on what I got from the letter. And that's in wide circulation. I shared it here yesterday. And the independence that he now has is amazing. It'll be interesting how that will play out. But like I said, just that freedom of being over there. And if the unique thing in Parliament is that you're there to represent everybody. I told you all this, I think on Monday, when we were talking about the Auditor General and the role of Parliament, the role of your MPs and all this sort of stuff. It doesn't matter whether or not he is aligned with a party. He's the representative of the people. And in this case, because of single member constituency, he's a representative. He's the voice. He's the voice of that constituency. So the mere fact that you hear no uproar and it's just speculation right now, leave the man alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. He's an independent member of parliament and he's still an elected member for Bodentown East. Like what Melita say here, once he stays in the back and off the road after dark, I'm not looking at him. Cabinet remains intact. It has been stated that from Sandra that she wrote the premier and he was adamant that they're in honeymoon. They're still very happy. Everything is going on and nothing that's out there right now is actually truthful. So I guess time will tell. But right now, cabinet remains the same. We're still functioning. They're still going to Parliament on Wednesday the 15th. So let's see. But then what are you persons saying? Well, I only voted for him this time because he went with the progressives. What does my vote then? I feel like I have been, he gone on me. I don't feel that he even gave it a year. I will strongly suggest that he's the man that I know, John will talk to you. If you feel that upset, make him explain. He'll talk to you. He'll tell you why. It's for you to decide whether or not it's the truth. But what I'm saying is, he will explain to you if he haven't already explained to you. Mm-hmm. So some people were saying, oh, well, if he resigns as a member of the progressives, he should have to actually vacate the seat. No, that's not how we are here. He can resign as a party member and still remain an elected member of parliament. There is no by-election in this case. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. So he still remains an elected member of parliament, and he still represents the people of Boddentown East, whether or not you're pleased with his timing at this time, whether or not you're pleased with the uneasiness of it now looms over this weekend. And like I said, let's just try get over the budget. We don't want to be a reflection of the United States of America. I am hoping that this sitting of Parliament, the presentation of the budget, the debate that will ensue, the questions that will be asked will be people-centric, meaning that the people will be at the center of it. It will not be for hidden agendas. It would not be for self, that the people will see a reflection in what is being presented, that it actually is inclusive of everyone. Tartarian. We need some civil servants to resign also, because it seems like they are the ones that is running the country and has the most power. Tartarian, we all can possibly agree to disagree with that. And that's your opinion. Again, holding those civil servants accountable is another thing. The budget exercise relies largely on a lot of the people from the Ministry of Finance and Mr. Jefferson and the Honorable Ralston Anglin being the Minister of Finance. He has a lot cut out for him, in close collaboration with the Premier, and of course the collaboration of all the cabinet ministers. I say that only because leading up to this event, it has been a lot of long nights, probably a lot of long evenings, and even weekends where they've had to meet for presentations for you to justify how much million you would need for your ministry. And this is why I want, and for them to be in accordance with the FFR rules. And as I said, I have an entire show in regards to the budget, preparing for a budget for either Monday or Tuesday leading up to Wednesday, that I'll break that down. I'll break it down exactly into what those acronyms mean, but to just paint a picture of what this exercise has been like. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, Sabrina, and your listeners. I must say that the last few days, you really got into the law stuff and I mean, it was heavy. I was saying maybe Sabrina should take each one of these and split it into 4 and then spread it over 2 months,
Well, I gotta be honest with you, caller. The intention is it's to scratch the iceberg. It's to scratching the surface, sorry, but enough for you. Like I said, these podcasts and the subjects is preparing you for other chapters to come. So you can't say you didn't get it already. They're not forgotten, because I will go back to a lot of these episodes, and even with conversations that have ensued from callers, people are now getting accustomed to some of the terms, and well, you said this then, and I'm seeing it on the comments. So I guess the strategy and how I'm presenting is making sense, and it will all tie in at the end of the day.
Well, you're right about that. We can't all. You see, there are sometimes when we sort of like broach issues,
Mhm.
and people call in, and the issues become larger and so forth. It's always like that. It's like sometimes you read a textbook, right? The introduction talks about everything, and then when you get into chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, gets into a lot of detail. So I mean, it is all for good. It just tells us that there is a lot to discuss.
Mhm.
Now, I just want to address the issue about the resignation of the Honorable Dwayne Seymour.
Go on.
It's very, very interesting that, in the smaller jurisdictions, this happened. This is very common. I was in the BVI for 4 years, and during that time, I can't even remember everybody who switched parties and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So to me, it's like I don't want to look at a particular individual and say, well, maybe he's mercenary, he's not quitting for the right reasons and so on. I'm ready
Mhm.
for the moment to say, look, in smaller jurisdictions, there seems to be just this tendency for people to leave. And I don't know really why it is like that. It might be maybe if you are in a party which has got an executive committee of 10 people and one or two don't like you, maybe you can't stay. But if you are in a big party like in the UK,
Mhm.
you could have one third of the people might not like you, but you might still stay in. I don't know what the reason, but that is only to say, really, to take me to my next point, which is that rather than discuss whether the resignation was right or wrong, I
Right.
think we need to look at the system. We
Correct.
need to look at the system now. Some of the people who called in have said, well, why doesn't he seek a fresh mandate? And you rightly pointed out to them that that's not the way the system is in Cayman. But I think the question is, should the system remain that way?
Mhm.
Because if you join the PPM, why are you joining the PPM?
Mhm.
You are joining the PPM because you like their policies. Let us assume you do. And then they say, okay, fine. If you like our policies, you are ready to work with us, then we'll put you forward as a candidate.
Mhm.
When you go as a candidate for the PPM, there are a lot of people who might not like you,
Mhm.
but they like the party. And the
Mhm.
party says, hey, you know what? This is our guy. He's ready to work with us. So you win. A lot of people who run with a party, they win because mainly they're going with the party.
Mhm.
A lot of people who run, for example, I mean, I give a lot of informal advice to people in Cayman when they run for election. And I always tell them something they already know, which is very often it is much easier if you run with a group. So if you win with a group, and then as soon as maybe not as soon as 4 or 5 months, 2 years down the road, you say, oh, I'm resigning from the party.
Mhm.
Should you really remain? Should
An
you
MP.
continue to enjoy
National. Mhm.
an MP? Exactly. Should you continue? Because to me, the basis upon which you have been elected has been vitiated. There are a lot of people who, like the guy who you were talking about just before I called, who said, well, I feel cheated. I voted for
Yeah.
him because he's PPM, now he has left. And so I think that needs to be looked at. Should people seek a fresh mandate if they want to cross the floor? Now, that is one answer. By the way, I can tell you there's one country I know where if you change allegiance after you are voted, you
Mhm.
seek a fresh mandate. They have it in their constitution, and the way they have it is if you are independent, you join a party, you seek a fresh mandate. You are in a party, you
Ah.
become independent, you seek a fresh mandate. You move from one party to the next, you seek a mandate. So long as the basis upon which you were elected has changed, whichever way it has changed,
Right.
you have to seek a fresh mandate because they believe that's the way it should be.
And in this
Now,
case, it's
that's
the
what,
mandate of the people, so that I make sure everybody understands, not nationally. It's the
okay.
mandate of the people. Now, where that gets a little complex,
Mm-hmm.
because of single member constituencies, and people are feeling like what this person acts. Are we electing leaders or performers? And I think that segues into your bigger question, whether or not then we need to
Mm-hmm.
look at constitutional reform, that if you went in under a party branding and you want to disassociate yourself for whatever reason, then the people may not feel as though they're cheated, for those
Mm-hmm.
especially that voted along party lines and not for the individual.
Exactly. And that point, you're right. It points to constitutional reform because these things are specified in the Constitution. Now,
Yeah.
The other way you could do it, rather than make a specific rule, to me, I think that the rule should be across the board. You change your allegiance, you seek a fresh mandate. But sometimes when you are trying to get a consensus among people, you must consider an alternative.
Yeah.
An alternative might be to say, look, you will not have to seek a fresh mandate every time that happens, but your electorate will have the option to recall you if they want, for that reason or for any other reason. Okay. In other words, you could just say, okay, fine, you got elected by how many people? For 500 people voted for you, fine. If 250 of those people sign a petition to say that they want you to seek a fresh mandate, you should. And that formula exists in certain places. It's one which is more flexible for those people who think that the first system might be too rigid. This might be a good compromise, and I think these are the issues that really need to be looked at. Now, how does this play into now going back to the specific situation with John? How does this play into the whole system? Now, again, here we have to speculate, but speculate without being overly imaginative.
Yeah, just within the confines of how it looks on the surface, because it's not the first time.
Exactly. It just seems to me that this is probably the first phase of something that they have schemed.
Which is why I said I don't need a red flag for this. I need an amber flag. Caution. And I'm going to get an amber flag. So the days of I need white, I need amber, and I need red. I got the red already. Yeah.
Well, you ran for office, you've won, you've left the system. Now you can see both mirrors, So,
and this is not with a wild imagination. And the good thing is Cayman is quite unique. And you kind of know the individuals. So I kind of smiled, but I was not like, oh my God, the sky is falling down. No, first of all, he's not a cabinet minister. He can resign from a political party. He can still go and sit down in the southeast corner. He's free now. He can probably come on here if he wants, whenever he wants. You see what I'm saying? The amount of freedom that he now has. But again, with his pattern, normally moves, not a play, moves like that signals something bigger until he proves us wrong.
Until he proves us wrong, although he cannot prove us wrong until never mind. You see, okay.
I like how you did that.
There is something I was trying to develop there, but my thoughts sort of fizzled out a little bit. Now, how does this relate to to any ministerial post that exists now?
Yeah.
Is he being teed up to take over from somebody?
Those speculations were dispelled. Those speculations are dispelled. The country will really take them on and I really feel with everything, I don't know what's happening behind closed doors, contrary to what people may think. We cannot put this country through that again.
Yeah, you see, I'll tell you what. Okay, let me back up and talk about Chris Saunders. Chris Saunders in the last government. Now, you may have some direct knowledge of that. So, I want to ask you to give that direct knowledge, because I know you still have to have some confidentiality. I personally do not believe that Chris Saunders was moved, was dismissed from that position, although he said he resigned. I don't believe that happened because of what was alleged against him. The other theory is that he became too strong on immigration, and the powers that be thought that he should go. So that was just a pretext. Now, we also know from Kenneth Bryan, because he has said so publicly, he wanted the portfolio of immigration when he was in government. And Wayne Panton, according to Kenneth, said, no, Kenneth, you are going to be too radical. Is it because that Michael Miles, who is speaking really the way Caymanians feel, is it because somebody doesn't like him, and this is the first of a move to remove him and give the post to John, who is weaker on immigration? It's just a question. I'm not making an allegation. That theory is also out there. And if it is true, then it leads to an even bigger question. is there accountability among these ministers? Because clearly Michael Myers is talking the language that a lot of your listeners, a lot of the people in Cayman want. They say, we like the way he's talking. We like the things that he would like to do. Although he did say one wrong thing one time. He said that, well, we are going to change the period for naturalization to be a BOTC. Now, that can't be changed by Cayman. It has to be changed by British Nationality Act. But other than that, he is talking very strongly now. There are also issues like when they say, well, that you will need now 22 years to be a Caymanian. Now, but I don't think that is going to solve the problem. To me, eventually, they can change these people up and down, but at the end of the day, I don't think the problem is who is minister and who is not. I think it comes down to the people in Cayman. The people in Cayman now must sit down and say, government, we want you to effect proper changes in immigration, proper changes in job preferences. You are both failing us, the opposition and the government, you are failing us. And people in Cayman have to now understand that I don't think that there is enough political will either in the government or outside the government to effect immigration reform and reform in relation to job preferences. And they should go to the police station, get a permit, go to the street, demonstrate, do a petition on change.org and force this government to effect change. Otherwise, all these changes about ministers going in and out will continue happening, but nothing is going to change. People have to do something they've never done before, which is go to the street and ask for these reforms.
How did you come to the conclusion of 5 months that the opposition isn't doing their job when we are just now going to the parliament to discuss a budget? It's still the earlier days in. I'm just asking a question. Are you just doing that broad brush from a historical context?
Yeah, it's a fair question, Sabrina.
I'm just trying to make it make sense because of everything being so topical now. Not that I'm choosing sides. It's a general question because understanding the House of Parliament is adversarial, but just 5 months in a move like that with all of the speculations, you can't really say that either side is not doing as they're promised because, first of all, election was in April. They're working off of whatever fumes they found when they got elected to office. You see where they had to go finance committee and voted back 100 and odd million in order to just take them up to the 31st of December. In the middle of all of that, they're now preparing for budget. They're trying to do a strategic policy statement to say what they're going to deliver for the Cayman Islands people, hoping that it's people-centric, hoping that immigration reform will be there. And then we heard all the talk about immigration reform. There was no white paper. The opposition was squealing out that I'm hearing all of this talk. I'm seeing all of these clippings, but where is it? We are the opposition. Let us be an opposition, but at least give us something so that we can see to oppose if we have to, or to make recommendations so that we can meet a happy medium. Silence. And this is where then you're saying, okay, well, we get the notice that there is going to be parliament, but now we're understanding the immigration bill is not going to be on there because they failed the 28-day consultation period or none at all. So we're going to focus on the strategic broad outcomes and the budget. So really and truly, you're not going to see the true strength or lack thereof of the official opposition, the progressive as a party, because now they're one down. Or the strength of your leading government, because they have not really are unable to deliver on their own budget before January 1st. But life continues. We're still seeing the demand for access to healthcare services. We're still seeing those falling afoul of needing subsidiary assistance for housing and food and all of that sort of stuff. Life continues. When people are hurting, they don't care that you're in caucus trying to balance a budget. We're hurting. We want it now. And it seems as though at the end of the day, that it was taking forever, but it's really 5 months to somebody who doesn't know where they're going to get another dime from to pay their bill. Feels like 5 years. And this is why it's important to have dialogues like this. people like yourself and others that are commenting, questions that are coming in, someone who's coming from an informed perspective that was a part of all of this can break it down in reality. That's your problem if you don't want to believe me, but it's the truth. Is it now temporarily giving those a free ride that are in there? Well, they better ride this wave now, because it will not be like this come 1st of January. Because if they get their budget passed and all is well, and you look at the SPS that's going to be also presented on the 15th, the opposition is going to hold them accountable for those deliverables, because then they will have the necessary funding behind them as well, is all I'm saying.
Okay. And I think that's a legitimate question, and those are legitimate observations. And I'm grateful that you asked them, because they lead me to the next point, which is I must congratulate the PPM, for example, for what they said about the government in saying, government, you don't look like the premier is pulling together with the Minister of Immigration on the issue of immigration. That is point number one. Point number two, there is the problem that apparently you are not now talking about this issue as strongly as you did during the elections. Because if you listen to both the people in the government and in the opposition, whenever a question is asked about immigration, about job preferences, they are not coming out strongly. The only person who is coming out strongly is the minister. Even the opposition, the PPM, two members, I won't call their names, were on another show, and I sent in a question, and I asked them two matters about immigration. You know, do you want to limit status to the net growth of the population? Do you want it to apply to people who are in government now? Because the current government is saying it won't apply to people who are in government now, in the sense that everybody's period of 9 years begins to run in January 2026. And I said, do you agree with those? They were very diffident about it. They said, well, we haven't talked about it in caucus and so on and so forth. So first of all, to me, even before I look at the period of time it has taken, I'm looking at how they seem to be avoiding the issue, both sides.
Maybe because now, based on putting the cart before the horse, there has been some serious public feedback from all industries that are saying, hold up, draw the brakes, re-examine this, bring the experts to the table. But right now, hold up. And for clarity, the 15th, the SPS, the strategic policy statement will be presented on the 15th of October. So that's really the plans. And then 15th of, or in November, will be the budget. So that's for correction there. Thank you.
Okay. To me, there are two responses to that. One, I'm starting to wonder, Sabrina, whether some Caymanian politicians, maybe most of them, don't want to deal with immigration and job preferences, not only because the private sector is saying so, but because they themselves let me rephrase that. There are three reasons why I think these politicians don't want to talk about job preferences and immigration. One, there seems to be a fear by them that in the political arena that is developing in the Cayman Islands today, where status holders are starting to have a greater say in the running of the country, they don't want to be too hard on immigration. Why? Because they feel they might have no political future. Point number one. Point number two, maybe they are buying into the scare tactics, which are that, well, if you are too hard on work permits, you see the economy is going to suffer, which is ridiculous, because I think that would not be the case. Thirdly, are they just bending to what their sponsors want, regardless of what the people in Cayman want? And I'm starting to feel that deep down, nobody wants these reforms. The people want them, but the government doesn't want them. Because one of the things I can say is, now let me address the issue of time, the one you've talked about. It's been only 5 months, 5.5 or so months. Why haven't some of these things which have been discussed for years and years been done? For example, it has been agreed finally now after many years that certain jobs should be for Caymanians only. You mean they couldn't do a regulation and start to say, okay, this is the regulation where the jobs for Caymanians are going to be, and here are the first 10 jobs we are specifying. We go to cabinet on Tuesday, we agree on it, and it goes public. You mean they can't do something like that? They could do those things. A lot of these candidates had actually worked out some very big details. I can tell you, for example, two of my favorite sections in the Public Service Management Act, sections 26 and 41. Those sections say, well, a Caymanian should only be given a job if their qualifications are at the same level as a foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, look, if the Caymanian qualifies, regardless of the qualifications of the foreigner, they should be given the job. That one shouldn't be a problem to effect. You go to the sections, you amend them. It's not so drastic. It will affect very few people. And that's the way other countries do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they do it? So these things shouldn't take long. What they should have done is at least do these obvious ones and say, we'll come back later, because they are not doing these things from scratch. There was already a white paper before this, and this is a matter which has been discussed in great detail for the last 20 years, since the mass grant.
So I gotta be
for
honest
me,
with you. Hold on. That white paper didn't hold water. I'm sorry. That white paper, no. That was no.
What?
No. The other one, no.
Okay.
That needed
Okay,
revision.
what's your view? What was your view of it, though?
It was empty. It was just a check. It was a checkbox to say we started, but no, it didn't hold substance that would be a true reflection of what the people were asking for.
You are right about that, and I agree with you about that. It was checkbox might be a very good way of describing it, because they called it a white paper, so I called it a white paper. But otherwise, it wasn't a white paper. It is a few things which were noted there that this is what we want to do, and so on and so forth. I mean, I've worked on legislation. If you gave me that white paper and you said, "Can you draw a piece of legislation?" I said, I'm not ready to start writing until I sit down with you and say what exactly you want. So I agree with that. So
No.
But these are the things I think they have to look at. To me, I think what they have just done is they've gone kind of cold.
Mm-hmm.
But people, I don't think, are really jumping up and down yet, because they are still saying, hey, let us look at the bill.
Let's see what they're
What I should also tell
presenting.
people-
Let's see what they're presenting first. Give them a moment.
I-
But this is why you shouldn't have just like that unless you knew, okay, we're going to deal with it from a regulations perspective. Here's a new policy. And like what you alluded to earlier on, at least it shows we're making a step. No. And I feel that they probably put the cart before the horse, and it has backfired.
Yeah. Well, let's see what's going to happen. Usually, by the way, let me close on this, Sabrina. Usually, when government appears like they are avoiding a certain issue and they are not responding to certain issues which are being raised, it means they have developed cold feet. And what it means also very often is you will never see usually in a draft something they haven't announced, because a draft is supposed to be a reflection of what they have announced and what they want to do.
Yeah.
Usually it doesn't happen, but sometimes it happens a little bit differently. Let's wait until whatever comes out. And then maybe we can have a more detailed discussion and get into the meat.
And sometimes you bait, like when you chum the environment. Let's drop this. Let's see what kind of feedback we're going to get. We don't know, but it's interesting. But thank you so much for your feedback.
Well, thanks very much, and thanks for giving me the time. I hope that I haven't just been wasting time, that we've got into it a little bit. So.
No, we did. I think we covered a lot of ground. It ties into what we were speaking about earlier in the week, and it segues into setting the foundation and the stage for next week. I mean, the mere fact that they're going to the House for the strategic policy statement, that could be another episode in isolation of what that means in layman's terms, and then how that is then pegged to what could be expected for the budget. Because really and truly, there should be some similarities, some reflection that would actually make it make sense that they're planning on, okay, well, you should be able to see in the strategic policy statement, and when the budget is presented, then, okay, well, I can see where that money is going for, because see, the strategic policy statement, they want to do this, they want to do that. Okay, that explains. Now, what's interesting, as you rightfully said, and somebody commented, who's going to deliver at pace?
Yeah. And by the way, are you going to be broadcasting live from the house next week? Are you going to do that?
I don't. Well, no. But you know what? I will be intent in how I listen, so that I will give a brief synopsis of all of the proceedings, because I have started this movement here in layman's terms. So to tell you that I will not be listening intently, I would be lying. I will be, because I think it's important for us to be able to explain it to people. And hopefully that in itself will encourage persons to go on who are able to log on live to see it for themselves, so that they can also say, Miss Sabrina, but I heard this. Can you break it down? Or I can bring it, or take action items out of it, or there may be highlights from there. But broadcasting live, no. I will actually lock myself in the studio, and I'll be taking copious amounts of notes, and I will definitely be listening, to be honest, about it. But I will be.
A lot of people will be counting on you, because I
I
follow this thing
understand
very
it. You see,
closely.
yeah.
Yeah. But you see, you have to cater also to certain people who are not like me, like who listen to everything,
Correct.
but who might be at work and so on. You have to break it down, and they expect you to do that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's good that you're going to do that.
Yes, I do. I
Well,
do.
I'll let you go there. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I'll
Have
let
a
you
good
go there.
weekend.
Thanks very much. I will talk soon. Bye bye.
Sure, sure. Take care. Yeah, there we go. So that puts it into perspective. And yes, I intend to actually, it's going to be just as a long week for me as it is our MPs, because I have a duty to actually keep you up to speed. You will then appreciate all that I have been saying here in even earlier podcast episodes as it pertains to the duties of the speaker, standing orders, and all that sort of stuff. And if you know what would be good for you to understand the different terms, but should there be a terminology used in there that I crap out, and like, let's say some of our people on the other side gets really angry because they're realizing that they're just answering them, but they're not being truthful. And then you hear the speaker says, in accordance with standing orders, I want to ask this question, or, that's overruled, or those little things I'll pick out so it makes sense to you. And I feel that if I can break this down in layman's terms for you, you will not seem as bored listening to it, because you would be educated as to what all of those standing orders mean, and say why certain members actually get angry, why they're told to sit down, and that sort of stuff. And then they call out these sections of standing order that makes them wrong or doesn't give them the right to speak anymore, and all of that. So yeah. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind? Happy Friday.
Good evening.
Hi, Shalma.
I want Mr. Fiore. I thought they had him. I heard him say they have water out for your arrest. So I wanted to know if you okay. Did I get him yet or what?
Well, obviously not. He's speaking to me.
And that's why I say they must be not getting me. Asking if he hiding or what?
I'm quite sure he's hearing you.
I heard him saying that today.
Okay.
But these people not easy who they need to put warrant out for, and not putting it out for, boy. I tell you, in the world, no sir. But I tell him I hope he be okay. I don't wish him no harm.
He's listening. He's hearing you.
Wish for the harm, but boy, I tell you, no sir.
Yeah.
I be praying every night, Lord, have mercy on the world and on us poor people, because I don't know, these are the last days now. We
just need to stick together and continue to educate ourselves.
Now, this is the Bible fulfilling every day. Wow. No sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you. You have a safe weekend. Yeah. So all of the next week from Wednesday to 15th, straight until Friday, the primary subject in the floor of Parliament will be the strategic policy statement, and that'll be debated on. And this is where you have the opposition as well. All the members in the opposition, be it independent or a part of the progressives, they will actually have an opportunity to see what the government is proposing. They will listen keenly. There will be an opportunity as well for questions to be asked. And of course, remember now, they're not sitting members of the government. So whatever proposals are actually in that document, if it's not reflection of where their people can also benefit, or they may see where something is not going right, they have every right to question it, to ask and actually be the referees and the champions for their constituents and their people, even though they're in opposition. And it is an opportunity to see real statesmen and women, somewhat in some cases, putting politics aside and looking for the greater good of the people. So it'll be interesting what will be presented. Let's go to some comments. Denver says, Well, I don't think the people see him as a leader, a follower for his own benefits. That is, I'm thinking you're talking about Mr. John. Denver also said, honestly, I don't think people see a MP leadership for him anymore, a non-performer in government. Denver further said the premier doesn't have the cojones to back the immigration reform outside white collar interference in the job market. He needs to stand up and protect the Caymanians. We're not going to lose anything in the private sector employment except a few disgruntled foreigners not getting their way with their government. Well, Denver, let's see what is going to be proposed with the strategic policy statement and keep that on warm right now. Let's see, because like I said, it's hard to really judge this government at this time, understanding how it works. It's hard to really judge even the opposition and the independent until yesterday, when we now have independents in the opposition, because this is where it starts. This is where it really gets started, because now you're going to be presented with what the big plan of the coalition government, coalition cabinet. Again, your cabinet, for the sake of this educational purpose, your cabinet is 8 people. 8 people sit in your cabinet. You have 3 independents, Minister Jay, Minister Isaac, and Ralston. That's 3 independents. Then you have 3 Cayman National Party. That's the Deputy Premier, Mr. Peanut. You got Nicholas DaCosta for the BRAC, and you got Michael Miles. The other 2 members of your cabinet is the TCCP, of which consist of our Premier and Miss Catherine Ebanks Wilkes. Look at the balance. So you have a premier, separate party that only has himself and another party member. And you have a cabinet that consists of 6 persons. So if that isn't having to make a marriage work, isn't that having to display understanding as a premier, consideration, a lot of patience, and a lot of faith to hold a cabinet of 8, to which you are a leader, but only 2, including yourself, is from your very own party. You have 3 independents, 3 CINP, and you're the premier. So you really only got 1 person beside yourself. This is a true testament of keeping it together. And I feel that is why the public is somewhat uneasy going into this weekend, has now automatically been put on edge because of the amber light now that we're seeing flashing with the move of the Boddentown East elected MP who has disassociated himself from a political party. I put emphasis on that because for now, that's okay. As long as that 8 stays together and carry the will of the people forward, then at the end of the day, only time will tell. Okay? So Mr. Belika responded to Ms. Shelma. Thanks, Ms. Shelma. Yes, there is a warrant out for my arrest in Cayman for a strata dispute, more in due course. Denver, where there's smoke, there's fire. Everyone smells the smoke. Well, let's hope the fire, I got all faith in my fire people. They got out that. Connie, you something, what a bangarang. Well, you know what? I'm going to leave that there for a number of reasons because, like I said, he was never a member of the Progressives Party. He was always an alliance member, and he joined up as a party member, and now he's no longer a party member. For all we know, next week he can go back and join as an alliance. I don't know. He's just not a member a founding member. He's not a member anymore of the Progressives with his resignation. So next week he can go back and be an alliance. Or maybe he can be an alliance member of the CINP or an alliance member of the TCCP. I don't know. He now has the freedom to do whatever he wants. And freedom, speaking from experience, is priceless. I'll leave that there. Mhm. So yeah, we just have to watch this, but just not overthink things. I know it's been a hard-hitting week. And at the end of the day, let's just hope for the best. And let's hope that we can get over this budget, get over the SPS presentation, that we will be respectful, that every elected member of that parliament is representing people of the Cayman Islands. Just like how mental health doesn't come with a face, doesn't come with a net worth, doesn't come with a nationality. Illness doesn't come with a face. It doesn't come with a nationality. It doesn't come with a net worth. It's there. I want people to just look, listen, observe, and yes, at the end of the day, ask the right questions. Go and find your representatives, find out what's going on before you flood the airwaves with misinformation or speculation. And like I said, I am not surprised this is happening because this is not the first, which is why you want a little chuckle. Oh, no surprise there. But should there be something else bigger afoot, then you come to your own conclusions. But until that develops or happens, let's leave it like that. Let's leave it right there for right now. Okay. Just before I wind up, because you got 10 minutes maybe before I wind down this week and say adieu to a very jam-packed week. Yesterday that we were talking about the national ID and data security, and I mentioned on the opening, for those who have stayed with me all weekend. Hi, Chelsea. Yeah, it's good to have you here. That I had said, that you're going to hear an acronym being used very often now, the NCFC. On October 6th, the National Digital Transformation Strategy Task Force was launched. And this task force will be chaired by a Miss Christina Spratt. And that was actually the Honorable Minister Isaac Rankin addressed the entire team at an event. And I will quote what he says in his address. And I quote, "Cayman needs a national framework that helps our people to thrive in the evolving digital economy. A stronger, fairer Cayman means adapting to a changing world," end quote. So with this task force, understanding their mandate, and I'm hoping maybe he will probably come on this platform, in time, so that you will understand what their true mandate is. I will do my own research to see how it ties in with the protections of your data, the safeguards that have been keeping you up at night. What is the true mission mandate of these persons? And hopefully I'll be able to deliver it here. But I would prefer, for the sake of you, that sometimes these topics are delivered by the subject persons themselves or those behind the operational arm of executing this. But I thought it was important for me to actually highlight that here to you, because of the fares that were actually cited by Denny and also Miss Lisa as well, about the control of data and all this sort of stuff and the safety and where all of this information will be housed, what mechanisms and all this sort of stuff will be in place to have me feel that my data will not be sold to the highest bidder. We had a caller that called in and says, look, we had planning that was actually breached and all that sort of stuff. And I'm saying, okay, even though that may have been a long time since then, they may have implemented certain safeguards that now pretty much it's a dry run of protecting our government information services and systems. So it's good to know that this task force is here, but I would like to delve into exactly their purpose, their mission, and all that sort of stuff to see if it exactly covers and quails your fears of whether or not your data could be captured if it's housed in one central location and be sold to the black market. What does that mean for you? Can it shut us down and all this sort of stuff? So before, again, we make our imagination go wild, let me just do a little bit more. But I thought it was very important for me to say that as of the 6th of October, that task force has been launched, and it has a chair now of Christina Spratt. Is the person who's chairing this task force. Let's see what Miss Melita is saying. I won't be so bold to underestimate the premier. He's definitely now working under no full moon head. I have a lot of faith in our new government. I haven't felt this contented living in my country, in my own country, should I say, in all my life. Keep moving on, TCCP. Thank you, Melita, for that. So yeah, like what I say, that move is just a signal. We're not going to pay that any mind right now. We're going to leave that. And as it evolves, eventually, the good thing is a move like that is almost like a pregnancy. After a period of time, baby will come. So we'll deal with that when we come. But right now, I'm just doing the amber flag. Caution, nothing else. I will not pay much attention beyond that, to be honest. So yeah, but I'm hoping that people will see all of this. And in regards to data, there was a headline that I saw in regards to slavery, where these people are being repatriated. They were slaves, but they were through some online scamming thing that I thought was interesting. And I think the headline caught me. Not all slaves wear chains. Some wear Wi-Fi. Nobody will know what that means. And this week, 260 people were freed from a digital prison most of us never knew existed. And this is Myanmar rescue story ties directly into, this is what some of the concerns were about the debate about the national ID in regards to these 260 people that were actually imprisoned to actually be a part of a digital syndicate, like a group of people who were just hired to create online fraud. And this ties right into our debate about the national digital ID and its powerful way to frame a conversation, around where do we stand with protecting that, and as it pertains to ethics and all of that. And what I saw, I'm trying to find the headlines here for you. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. The rescue of 260 foreigners from an online scam center in Myanmar isn't just a tragedy, it's a wake-up call. These individuals were trafficked, forced to run digital scams, and had their identities manipulated by criminal syndicates. Their data was weaponized, their freedom was erased. Now, these people just vanished because they were actually slaved to carrying out online scams. And they were actually saved by another country when they realized what was going on. And the digital ID, it's only safe as the systems behind it, to be honest. And I'm going to try to find the link to share it with you. But it was quite interesting because they were actually traded as slaves because obviously they were that good at online fraud. Why would I not want them? But yeah. So you have the right, Caymanians do have a right to ask who controls the data, who protects it, and who benefits from it, understanding we have a melting pot of different nationalities here. And we see how easy it is to actually form online relationships. And it looks as though that's how these people were actually sucked in and they become slaves. Like their entire existence were wiped out and they became employees, but their identities just evaporated. It's just disgustingly scary. So yeah, Denver. With a digital ID, your identity and all your business transactions will be exposed internationally. Denver also says, in other words, easily accessible. Exactly what you just said. So see, Denver, you can't say I'm doing my homework, Oh my God. That's why Mr. Samantha is saying it was a hard week. Yeah, when I do shut off here, I literally just veg out because it's a lot to prepare. And this is why I try to do weekly shows, but then not all the time. Prepare my shows for a week so that I can go and research, and you realize the laws and stuff. And I got to know it so that I can actually break it down. But it takes a lot. And then life happens. You have to be able to deliver in real time. But I'm also educating myself as well. So when I actually engage in conversations now, it's more informed. I have become more of a listener. I become tired than a talker, because I want to hear what people are saying, because many a times now I have done the research. I know the facts. So when I listen to them, I hear how they're processing it. And then it's funny. Some of my colleagues that are listening will know my face have a telltale sign when you're talking BS. So what I do to avoid insulting people, I find myself just, if it is a conversation that I realize the individual can possibly handle the facts, or I'll say politely, I'm going to send you a link, but don't say no more on that. Read up on that and see if that don't change your perspective, because not everybody can handle the truth. And I have to temper even how I try to respectfully engage in certain conversations now, of course, with current events, to avoid being looked at as a know-it-all or anything like that. And worse with immigration law. I think now people have come to respect me a little bit more, that I really understand it. But still, you have to guard that knowledge and know that even though you may be saying the truth, I have to be respectful of others' opinion, which is why I try to be, I do my best to be nonpartisan in delivering of topics. So Denver, people like you who comment, who actually provoke me to dig deeper into certain topics, I like that, because then it's not from me. If you see what I'm saying, I'm dealing with the public and how I deliver. And I aim to research and still come from a neutral standpoint with the facts. So it's quite interesting. Yes, Ms. Rose, good evening. I know you're late. The real protection is offline. Data breaches are no longer. And if, but when, and how often, how many times do you want your identity stolen? Sorry, but there's no safety room for corruption. Yeah. But let's see what this task force will do, real Michelle. I don't know. It was just launched. Lucille, TD, I can hear the mouth is still. You probably just wake up, Miss Lucille. Yeah, but I can log off now, do you know? It's a Friday. Denver, you're welcome. But no, serious, I appreciate when you do this, but it takes a lot. And that's by no means complaining, because I'm investing in myself. And the worst thing they did, I got time. Oh yeah, I educated myself. Shaka Zulu, don't worry, I'm listening. And diligently as well, Auntie Sabrina. Oh, thank you so much, Shaka Zulu. I still won't find out who behind that, I can still find out who that is. You, Shaka Zulu. But yeah, it has been an honor. I could be honest with you. I think this week will go down in history for me. You will have your ups and downs. I'm a human being. But I must say this week has been huge takeaways. And I want to thank all of you for sticking with me, all of you for really appreciating the information that I share. And like I said, tonight was different. It was a medley. You laughing? Yeah, you know why you laughing. I got to find out who behind this. But yeah, it was a medley of topics, to be honest. And it was the first time I said, how the heck do you do a wind down Friday? Try to still keep it light. But then there's so much people still out there hungry for the knowledge. And it takes a lot of research, and the days go by so quickly. But it is an investment for you, because I intend to keep it up here. And again, your feedback, your appreciation means the world to me, But this medley this evening was different. And I literally was, I could tell you a little bit. I went in the shower and that's where the topic came up. Sabrina, do a medley of stuff that is thought-provoking enough that still allows you to do regional stuff, local stuff, and not just bash on one person, because right now it doesn't require a lot of the attention. Let's deal with real issues. And that's how it came about. So yeah. Oh, dear Miss Sabrina, stop apologizing for who you are in your shoes. You owe nothing to your listeners. Lead and we will follow. Oh, thank you so much. Well, that's all you will get from me. I'll continue to lead and always share and impart knowledge with ya. But yeah, that brings me to the end of tonight's episode of Sabrina Speaks. But I don't remember now, for God's sake, who won't win a prize? Go down and spend $50 or more with Edward. You can probably go into any destination Cayman Airways flies. You could be the lucky winner. He is having a huge sale tomorrow. And I know Edward, I know Edward. Edward said, come for that clearance and yard sale. Yes, it starts from 7 to 11 tomorrow. Down there at 194 Ed's Plaza, North Sound Road. For more information, 949-5154. He's always there with a smile, the driest sense of humor. And he and his team will be out early. Knowing him, he'll have them out there from 4 o'clock so that he will get all of his people there. And $50 or more, and you could stand to be the lucky winner of a Cayman Airways ticket anywhere Cayman Airways flies. But yes, that brings me to tonight's end of this episode. And we've covered a lot of heavy ground, as I said, from military tensions to digital divides to budget strains to political shakeups to being acrobats on the political floor to Olympians, just for a little humor. But here's what I know. I know for a fact that in Cayman, we are not defined by our challenges. We are honestly and truly defined by how we raise to meet them, how we rise to meet these challenges. We are a people of resilience, of rhythm, of reason, and we know how to speak the truth with grace. And we also know how to demand better without losing our dignity, and how to hold each other up when systems let us down. So as we head into the weekend, I want you to breathe. For God's sake, just exhale, reconnect. Don't reflect too much, but hang with family. Reclaim your voice, whether it's in a quiet moment with a friend, a book, a spiritual chat with a friend, or a prayer whispered in the wind. Let it remind you that you matter. And most importantly, that your vote matters as well. And so does your voice. Because change doesn't start in Parliament, It starts in your living rooms, in WhatsApp group chats, on the radio waves, and in conversations just like this one. So I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I want to thank everyone for sticking with me, for thinking deeply, and for daring to care. I'll be back next week with definitely more truths, definitely a little bit more fire, and more love for this island we call home. But until then, please stay safe. Stay curious as well. And don't ever, as my outro says, forget to speak your truth. It is my pleasure. And this has been another Sabrina Speaks. Good night and have a good weekend. That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.